Hello viewers, welcome to the channel Amazing Civil Engineering Studies. Time to enter the world of civil engineering. Here we will learn about different concepts related to civil engineering. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more new updates. In today's video we are going to discuss about Part 2, Design of Reinforced Concrete Cement, Question and Answer. 1. Distinguish between flexural bond and development bond. Flexural bond. It arises in flexural members on account of shear or variations in bending moment, which in turn causes a variation in axial tension along the length of a reinforcing. Development bond. It arises over the length of anchorage provide for a bar or near the end of a reinforcing bar. 2. Why is bond stress more in compression bars than in tension bars? Deformed bars subjected to tension. Values shall be increased by 60%. Deformed bars subjected to compression. Values shall be increased by 25%. 3. What are the types of reinforcement used to resist shear, and write down the expressions for to shear resistance offered by the type. Shear reinforcement is necessary if the nominal shear stress exceeds the design shear stress. In general, shear reinforcement is provided in any one of the following three forms. Refer is 456:2000 page No. 72. 4. Write down the value of design bond stress for M30 grade of concrete. Design bond stress in limit state methods for plain bars, mild steel, in tension is equals 1.5 / superscript 2. 5. What is RC slab? Reinforced concrete slabs are used in roofs of buildings. Slab is a flexural member, transmits imposed and dead load to the supports. Support may be a wall, beam, or column. 6. Reinforced concrete slabs are generally safe and do not require shear reinforcement. Why? Normally the thickness of slab is so chosen that the shear can be resisted by concrete itself and the slab does not need extra shear reinforcements. 7. What are the types of slab? One-way slab. Two-way slab. 8. How can be classified the slab? / 2. One-way slab. / 2. Two-way slab. 9. Define one-way slab. When the slab is supported only on two opposite sides, the slab bends in one direction only. Hence, it is called one-way slab. Define two-way slabs. When the slab is supported on all four sides, the slab bends in both directions. Hence, it is called two-way slabs. Name the two types of two-way slabs. Explain their difference in the design of slabs. Slabs simply supported on the four edges, with corners not held down and carrying UDL. Slabs simply supported on the four edges, with corners held down and carrying UDL. Slabs with edges fixed or continuous and carrying UDL. Why is secondary reinforcement provided in one-way RC slab? Secondary reinforcement is provided running perpendicular to the main reinforcement, in order to take the temperature and shrinkage stresses. It is otherwise called as distribution or temperature reinforcement. What are the codal provisions for a minimum reinforcement to be provided as main and secondary reinforcement in slab and their maximum spacing? Minimum reinforcement equals 0.15100 times for mild steel equals 0.15100 times for HYSD bars. Spacing equals 3D or 300 mm. Horizontal distance between parallel main reinforcement bars. Use whichever is smaller. Spacing equals 5D or 450 mm. Horizontal distance between parallel reinforcement bar provided against shrinkage and temperature. Use whichever is smaller. Explain the purposes of lintel beams in buildings. Lintels are provided over the openings of doors, windows, etc. Generally, they support the load of the wall over it, and sometimes also the live loads are transferred by the sub-roof of the room. Lintel takes the masonry load over the openings and distributes to the masonry located sides of opening. What type of slab usually used in practice? Under reinforced or over reinforced section. The depth of slab chosen from deflection requirements will be usually greater than the depth required for balanced design. Hence the area of steel required will be less than the balanced amount. So, the slab is designed as under reinforced section. What do you understand by flanged beam? The concrete in the slabs, which is on the compression side of the beam, can be made to resist the compression forces, and the steel in the tension side of the beam can carry the tension. These combined beam and slab units are called flanged beam. Define shear strength. The resistance to sliding offered by the material of beam is called shear strength. What are the important factors affecting the shear resistance of a reinforced concrete member without shear reinforcement? Characteristic strength of concrete. Percentage of longitudinal steel. Shear span to depth ratio. Axial compressive tensile force. Effect of cross-section. Effect of two-way action. Define column. A column, in general, may be defined as a member carrying direct axial load which causes compressive stresses of such magnitude that these stresses largely control its design. It transmits load coming from beam or slab and distributes to the foundation. Usually columns are square, rectangle, circular and I-shaped in cross-section. It is reinforced with longitudinal and lateral ties. Load carrying capacity of column is depending upon longitudinal steel and cross-sectional size of the column. Lateral ties are giving lateral support to the longitudinal steel. The columns are analyzed for axial force and moments. Differentiate between long and short column. Based on slenderness ratio, columns can be classified into long and short. Slenderness ratio equals H. Short column, 12 long column, 12:21. Differentiate between uniaxial and biaxial bending. Axial load and bending moment along one direction are applied simultaneously on the column is called uniaxial bending. Axial load and bending moment along two direction are applied simultaneously on the column is called biaxial bending. According to IS code, all columns should be designed for minimum eccentricity. Justify the statement. Lateral loads such as wind and seismic loads are not considered in design. Misalignment in construction. Slenderness effects not considered in design. Accidental lateral or eccentric loads 23. What is spiral column? For a circular column, longitudinal tied with closely spaced helix are called a spiral column. 24. Write down the formula for calculating minimum eccentricity. Equals 500 plus /30 subject to a minimum of 20 mm where L equals unsupported length of the column, D equals lateral dimension of the column 25. What is the minimum and maximum percentage of reinforcement can be provided for a column? The cross-sectional area of longitudinal reinforcement shall be not less than 0.8%, not more than 6% of the gross cross-sectional area of the column. What are the specifications for pitch of lateral ties in columns? The pitch of the transverse reinforcement shall be not more than the least of the following distances. Least lateral dimension of the compression member. 16 times the smallest diameter of the longitudinal reinforcement bar to be tied. 300 mm. What is pedestal? Pedestal is a compression member, the effective length of which does not exceed 3 times the least lateral dimension. What is slender column? If the slenderness ratio of the column about either axis is greater than 12, is classified as long column. Long column should be designed as slender column. Distinguish braced and unbraced column. Braced column. Unbraced column. In most of the cases, columns are subjected to horizontal loads like wind, earthquake, etc. If lateral supports are provided at the ends of the column, the lateral loads are borne entirely by the lateral supports. Such columns are known as braced columns. Other columns, where the lateral loads have to be resisted by them, in addition to axial loads and end moments, are considered as unbraced columns. It is not subject to side sway. It is subject to side sway. 30. Mention the functions of the transverse reinforcement in arc column. To prevent longitudinal buckling of longitudinal reinforcement. To resist diagonal tension caused due to transverse shear due to moment transverse load. To hold the longitudinal reinforcement in position at the time of concreting. To confine the concrete, thereby preventing its longitudinal splitting. To impart ductility to the column. To prevent sudden brittle failure of the column. 31. Classify the column according to the material. Pre-stressed concrete, reinforced cement concrete, stone, timber. Classify the column according to transverse reinforcement. Spiral or helical. Tied. 33. What are the factors governing to decide the depth of footing? The footing is generally to resist the bending moments and shear forces developed due to soil reactions. The main purpose of the footing is to effectively support the structures. Define safe bearing capacity of soil. It is the maximum intensity of load or pressure developed under the foundation without causing failure of soil. Unit for safe bearing capacity of soil is superscript 2. Safe bearing capacity of soil is determined by the plate load test at the site. What is punching or two-way shear in RCC footing? Punching shear is a type of shear failure occurs in reinforced concrete footings due to axial load from the column and upward soil thrust from the ground. What are the advantages of providing pedestals to columns? Where pedestals are providing, and full force is transferred to the footing without additional reinforcement. Pedestal provides a plane surface for the convenience of column construction. What is the situation in which trapezoidal shape is preferred to a rectangular shape for ATWO column combined footing? If the one column is carrying load is much larger than the other one, trapezoidal combined footing is preferred. 38. When combined footings are adopted? When two or more columns' walls are located close to each other and or if they are relatively heavily loaded and or rest on soil with low safe bearing capacity. An exterior column located along the periphery of the building is so close to the property line that an isolated footing cannot be symmetrically placed without extending beyond the property line. Under what circumstances rectangular shape preferred for ATWO column combined footing? When loads are equal and no restriction on sides, the footing will be rectangular with equal overhang on both sides. Under what circumstances combined footing is preferred? When isolated footings for individual columns are touching or overlapping each other. When the columns are located near the boundary lines or expansion joints. What is meant by eccentric loading on a footing and under what situation does this occur? The load acting on a footing may act eccentrically with respect to the centroid of the footing base. This eccentricity may result from one or more of the following effects. The column transmitting a moment m in addition to the vertical load. The column carrying a vertical load offset with respect to the centroid of the footing. The column or pedestal transmitting a lateral force located above the foundation level, in addition to the vertical load. Write down the formula for calculating maximum and minimum soil pressures for a rectangular footing carries eccentric point load. The structural design of the footing, which includes the design of the depth and reinforcement, is done for factored loads using the relevant safety factors applications for the limit state of collapse. Define staircase. Staircase flights are generally designed as slabs spanning between wall supports or landing beams or as cantilever from a longitudinal inclined beam. The staircase fulfills the function of access between the various floors in the building. Generally, the flight steps consist of one or more landings between the floor levels. What are the normal range of tread and rise values of steps of a staircase in residential building? As per IS 456:2000, the normal range of tread and rise values of steps of a staircase in residential building are: rise 150 mm to 180 mm, tread 200 mm to 250 mm. Define flat slab. A flat slab is a reinforced concrete slab supported directly over columns without beams, generally used when headroom is limited, such as in cellars and warehouses. Define box culvert. These are provided for conveying water to serve the following requirements: to serve as means for a cross drainage, to provide a supporting slab for roadway under which the cross drainage flows. 47. What are cases available in box culvert? Case 1, when the top slab carries the dead and live load and culvert is empty. Case 2, when the top slab carries the dead and live load and culvert is full of water. Case 3, when the sides of culvert do not carry live load and culvert is full of water. How the effectively span of a stair is decided: when the landing slab spans in the same direction as the stair. When the landing slab spans in the same direction as the stairs, they should be considered as acting together to form a single slab, and the span determined at the distance center to center of the supporting beams or walls, the going being measured horizontally. Give the guidelines of the size of rise and tread as per IS code norms. The following guidelines may be followed while deciding the size of rise and tread of a stair. 400 mm, rise and tread, 450 mm. 580 mm, rise and tread, 630 mm 50. How the load is distributed in the case of an open well stairs. In the case of stairs with open wells, where spans partly crossings at right angles occur, the load on areas common to any two such spans may be taken as 1/2 in each direction. Thank you for watching. For now, please subscribe, like, share and do not forget to press bell icon.